And then referral-based leads kind of coming in, just saying, yes, we can handle that. Yes, we could do that. Yes, we'll add that in for free. Yes, we could do that. Just kind of led to the best kind of referral-based marketing, to where one $50,000 job that we got turned into jobs that totaled revenue amounts of like 600,000. Mm-hmm. So we ended last year, and this was last March of 2019, we ended with 290,000 in revenue. Mm. So better than what I was expecting on that $200 a day level, but obviously a lot of expenses tied into that, so didn't make a whole lot. This year to date, we are at 4.5 million in revenue, just through the kind of the base that we've started and everything that we did. And we started the year off with a great portfolio. I think in the first 2 months, through that one referral I was talking about, up to around 600 grand in revenue. And then COVID hit. And COVID was such a confusing time for guys like us, because we didn't really know, A, if we were essential, B, if homeowners were going to want us even on their property. Yeah. C, if people were even going to want to have us out for quotes, or get any of this work done. And we had an opportunity. So we had a big conversation. Do we kind of slow everything down and just do the jobs we have on the books and go from there? But there's some just feeling in me that I think that right now, if we double down on all of our marketing and kind of make ourselves the face of this whole thing, that we're still accessible, we're still available, we're doing it the right way, we're taking huge safety precautions to make sure you don't get sick, that we'll come out of this better than when we went into it. And we started our social media, we started our website, we started our YouTube channel, we met with influencers, we kind of invested a lot of money into creating a name for ourselves, and it worked. A couple things we found is that contractors aren't showcasing their work very well online. Yeah. They're kind of hoping for word of mouth to be able to get their next job, but not putting a lot of effort into showcasing who they are as a company. And so double down on that. That worked. I think in the next couple months, we had another $1.5 million in revenue that came from those engagements. And these were actually people that were becoming kind of fans of JJ's Landscaping. Mm-hmm. To an extent. People that wanted to work with us, not getting bids from other people. We were no longer having to pay for leads. These are just organic people coming in through our Instagram and our website that see what we're doing and want to work with us. And then the next big break, because I had done a TED Talk for my first company, actually sharing the stage with David Meltzer at that point. And this radio station had seen that TED Talk, saw that I owned a construction business, and asked if we would host a radio show, mm-hmm. And a podcast. So we started doing that. And with the success that we found from the marketing efforts that we did within JJ's Landscaping, we turned this podcast opportunity and radio show opportunity that actually pretty much immediately had a pretty good listenership into a business model where we were going to do what we did for JJ's Landscaping on the marketing and business development side for contractors, suppliers, and product companies within the construction and home improvement space at large, and create content and improve their marketing and do all that. And now we are, as this company is called The Buildsters, and now here we are working with some of the biggest suppliers and contractors in San Diego, who are now buying into this idea that marketing is important, trust is important, contracting is kind of a dirty business from the stigma of homeowners. How do we build that trust without having to go do 1 million quotes or 1 million bids and take a whole bunch of time to justify ourselves in a sea of contractors where you don't really know who you're dealing with? Sure.
Wow. Come a long ways from that $200 a day.
Yeah. Not the plan by any means, but here we are.
The first portion of your story resonates well with me because I did the same thing at 26. I took a missions trip down to Mexico, to Baja, Mexico, with Mariners Church out of Newport Beach. And, like you realize this can change your life when you see how these kids are living and what's important to them. My story, I spent $5,000 the weekend before in Mammoth skiing and have a good time with my buddies. And we go down on this missions trip with the orphanages, and our budget was $5,000 to help 10 orphanages. I thought, wow, I just blew that on myself last weekend, and here I'm going to help these orphanages, and it's going to last them a month. It shook my world up at 26, and I changed my whole perspective in life and what I did. And when you were talking about that, it just really resonated with me because it hit home with you. You're obviously a young person, and to learn that early in life, giving back and what's important is a lesson that you can't teach. You just got to be in the middle of that, and hopefully people are paying attention to it. So thanks for sharing that part of your story.
Yeah, no, and it resonates more. I mean, you don't have to be doing charity work to be helping people and giving back. I mean, it kind of it resonates into how we treat our employees and how we pay them a fair wage and how we get into everything of just putting other people at least on the same playing ground as you, no matter what the stigma is or what you think of them or what they bring to the table, because that's how you get the most loyal people and that's how you build a company.
Yeah. John, you talked about not knowing anything about construction, and yet here you are, not only in the business, but now you're helping others from a marketing standpoint. What were some of the hurdles that you had to overcome in the beginning, starting that business? Obviously, you must have had some kind of passion for it to take the time to learn more about it, but what were some of those early hurdles that you had to get overcome?
The contractor's license.
Mm-hmm.
So that is basically your entrance fee to be able to be a legitimate contractor in the state of California. And usually for that, you need 4 years of experience. 2 of that can be offset with a college degree, because a lot of it's a business orient of it. But I needed to figure out how to get a contractor's license without having the full experience needed in order to do it. So I did a lot of research. I did a lot of kind of networking and conversations. There's a program in the state of California called the RMO program. Basically what that is it allows you to kind of act as an apprentice underneath another contractor that is verified and has the experience and does everything. And you get your own license, but it's housed underneath the license of that other contractor. Mm-hmm. So we're learning how to do it along the way, but we have the benefit of the guys that we've hired to be the labor side of it, the operation side of it, have a full in-depth understanding and their own licenses to be able to do the work on their own. So everything that I'm doing is learning from this RMO and from this program and through just the vast set of materials we have on YouTube and online to be able to gain a better understanding. But I needed a contractor's license as an entrance fee to be a contractor. I didn't need that contractor's license because it is my full passion and I wanted to be the one in the field doing the contracting work. Mm-hmm. So it's amazing how many different kind of programs and things that there are that people would never even think to look for if you just have conversations and are doing it.
What's interesting about that is so often the cost of entry, in this case the license, will defer people from actually doing what they might be passionate about. And instead of you looking in another direction, you just dug in and figured out how to get it done. I mean, here you are down the road having a successful business, and you didn't let that detract you. Because I know a lot of guys that I talk to like, oh, I would do that, but I need a contractor's license. But and it's like, come on, man, figure it out. So that's a great piece of advice and learning on ways that people can do what they want to do.
Yeah, and meeting other people is really kind of the secret to finding a solution to anything. I mean, the more people that are in the space that you want to get into, that you just have a conversation with about what you want to do. I mean, you could talk to your friends and family all day long, and I mean, bounce ideas off of kind of your close knit group, and that's great. And you're going to get a lot of encouragement if it's but no one really takes the step out into the people that are already in the industry or already in doing what you want to do and asking the questions that may seem like dumb questions or may seem like they'd be annoying questions, but people want to teach other people. People want to give other people opportunities, but it's amazing how few people actually go out of their way to ask for those opportunities or who waste the meeting trying to ask someone for money as opposed to trying to ask for advice or guidance or mentorship or help or an opportunity or just, I don't want to call it loopholes, but ways around the current system so that cost of entry can be deferred to a certain extent.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a key point. There's, the old line there, where there's a will, there's a way. And I think if you're passionate about something, that it's worth the time and energy to figure it out. And in your case, that's obviously what you did. So I think for our learning for this show today, it's like, don't give up just because you need a license or something, because there's ways of obtaining it and getting to a point of success while you're in the process. So congratulations to you on that. We live in an interesting time right now. And as we're going into the winter months and everything, we're all dealing with COVID on one level or another. And even in the future, when COVID's gone and people listen to this show, how are you guys staying driven in this era of what we're dealing with? What gets your team and yourself up in the morning and say, hey, let's get after it? I mean, you talked a little bit about doubling down on your marketing, which I just think is great. It's advice that I've given. But what are some of the other things you're doing to be driven?
What we're doing, we're trying to diversify the ways in which we work. So, I mean, in starting the Buildsters, that company that kind of derived from us doubling down on our marketing, it gives us a means and basically an entry level to be able to go talk to other people within the industry and capture content and moments and memory for not just the growth of our business, but for the growth of other people in the industry. And everyone that works for me or with me, or I mean in the adjacent area, none of us are strictly focused on our businesses themselves. And because I think that's kind of where you get into a rut. At least for me, if I'm doing the same thing every single day, I'm not happy. I mean, I lose motivation and I just kind of get into a routine that I can't get out of. So we're always trying to connect with new people in new different industries and new different ways, not only to kind of keep ourselves motivated and kind of just a little bit diverse in what we're learning and who we're meeting and what we're doing, but also some of the best opportunities that have come to us have been in those meetings with those people, trying to get them to get involved with the Buildsters, but just also capturing the content and the memories. So we are staying motivated by, I don't want to say living vicariously through others, but by constantly meeting new people and getting new perspectives, because it is very draining, especially when you're in your house. If you're not in construction or you don't know all the different, I mean, have the ability to go network like we do, meeting new people, and even if it is just online, gaining new experiences through new relationships is what keeps us motivated on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, it sounds like the diversification of your business is really helping not only amplify it, but keep you motivated, keeping you driven, and opening up more doors for you. It's interesting. I started my podcast right after meeting David Meltzer about 3 years ago, and was encouraged by him, the power of and strength of podcasting. And I started it, as an activity to do to support something. But you had a business, and then you started your podcast, and it really seems like it supports. I don't think people know the value of having a podcast, because my business has dramatically increased strictly because of the podcast and the people that have been on the show.
Yeah, no, I mean, if used correctly, it's the best selling tool that there is. I mean, because everyone wants to come on a podcast and share their story and kind of learn. I mean, I'm learning from you the same way that we're having a conversation. And I mean, the more connected and trusted that you feel within that is not only gains awareness for potential customers, but once again, I keep kind of harping on this whole relationship thing, but you meet some great people while you're podcasting. And it gives you an invitation to have people that you may or may not have a reason to talk to otherwise, to say, hey, come on my podcast, share your story, let's chat, and let's see if there's a collaboration. Most people that I either go on their podcast or they come on ours leads to something after we're done, just because there usually is a collaboration in some variety, as long as it's not, hey, I'll charge you $500 to come on my podcast, and then after the podcast is over, I'd love for you to pay me another $5,000 for this, that, or the other. I mean, it needs to be an organic relationship.
Yeah.
But it usually leads to growth and ultimately awareness.
Yeah, absolutely. So, John, what's next in the playing field for you? It seems like you've made some substantial moves the last couple of years, and things keep getting bigger and better. What's on the docket next?
So we are now going full throttle into the Buildsters. I mean, and the Buildsters is something that is basically an amplification for the construction, making it entertaining for people to watch construction, an educational, entertaining place for people to come together and learn. And we have some great partnerships with the Lake Elsinore Storm is a baseball team out here,
Yeah.
and the San Diego Loyal is a new professional soccer team out here. and a nonprofit called Strike Out for a Cause that we're rolling out huge partnerships with them. We're working on the naming rights of the Lake Elsinore Storm, so it's going to be the Bilsters Field of Lake Elsinore.